Hey everyone, I'm very excited to show you this new product. This is the Elsys Amplimax Ultra 5G. This is a outdoor unit that's mounted outside on a wall or a pole, and it is a modem. It has a built-in 4x4 MIMO antenna, and it has Ethernet router capability, and it's powered solely by an Ethernet cable with no antenna cables needed to be run to your house. So it has some really cool features I want to go through and show you on it. I'm going to take it out of the box, show you what's in there. I'm also going to show you the technical details. So I'll pull up some of these data sheets and talk about how it's different than some of the other stuff I've covered. I've covered lots of different 5G routers. I've covered outdoor and indoor antennas to add. This is people that use cellular as their main internet typically, or perhaps a backup as well. But this is really a cool product that is designed to hit this market exactly where it needs it to get you that best speed and performance that you can get. So now, before I get too far, I must say this is Nate, and this is the Nater Tater channel. I could really use your support to get that thumbs up button, as well as consider subscribing to my channel to see more stuff. Now, to go back into history a little bit, actually the Elsys 4G unit is one of the first ones I've actually reviewed on my channel that I got, and this was a great unit, but it's only 4G capable, and so once we moved to 5G, I really didn't have a use for it. So it's really cool that they came out with this. Let's take this out of the box real fast and then show you what all it is. Alright, I actually cheated. It's not really in the box. I just put it inside here. So this is what it comes with. A couple Ethernet cables. This is your PoE switch. So this basically adds power. The way you think about it, it just adds power to your Ethernet cable. So you have a short cable. I think this was like a 5 or 6 foot cable that they give you, and you plug that into the LAN port. This other side of the cable would go to either your own Wi-Fi router, which is what I'll do in my case, or if you only had a single device you wanted to hook it up to, like a computer, you could hook this straight up to a computer and it will work as well. This longer cable is a 50-foot cable, and this one is the one that you would run from this other port on here on this side that says Amplimax, and it would go outside and up a tower, up the wall, wherever you have this placed, and give power to the unit. Now you can use a shorter cable if you don't need that, and you can also use a longer cable. I think you can do 200 meters with that cable. Alright, there's the power adapter, so that plugs into that little white box. By the way, I must say that this little white PoE injector is awfully cute because it looks almost identical to the main unit itself here. So this is what gets mounted outdoors. Ideally, now you could technically mount it inside or in an attic, like I've done with some of my antennas, but really the best place to place these is outdoors. And again, what this has is on the bottom, it has a Ethernet that's weather tight. So this is a little seal that goes over the Ethernet cable. I'll show you that when I actually install it. And then on the back side, it has a bracket that has a couple uses here. So one of the ways to mount it is actually directly to a wall. This kind of snaps in here. Slide it, there we go. So then you can see that this one has a flat surface with 4 bolt holes that it can go on a wall or a flat surface that you have. Or you can use the included hose clamps here, and they go through a couple of these slots and go around a standard pole mount that's common for a TV mast, or the little J mounts that you can use for the other antennas. They do actually have kind of a neat or well thought out thing here where they have these zip ties. They give you 2 of them, but they're not actually for permanent use. And that's why they include the hose clamps. But there is a third hole at the very top, and that's designed for the zip tie for you to get it up there, because if you've been outside on a tower or on your roof, it's not always the most fun place to be. So the zip tie goes in there, it's quick and easy, and that's going to hold your antenna in place or keep it on that pipe so then you can aim it. I'm going to show you some really cool feature they have with aiming once I get to the install. So back to the unit itself. On the back side here, I can see this aluminum heatsink that obviously helps keep your modem cool when it's in use. And then on the bottom, there's a couple of silicone flaps that you can open up here. And this is where here, that's just the product code there on this side. But this other flap is where it has 2 SIM cards slots. So you have you can have redundancy there where it can you can tell which one to pick. It only uses one at a time. You have a USB-C port, and I'll talk about using that as well for flashing. You can do software updates. You can also do things like change some of the advanced settings. If you have to repair or adjust the IMEI, there's some things that we can do there with this as well. And then there's some buttons here, and we'll get into kind of what they do, but it does have some really cool features to help you aim the device when you're out there on the tower, where you don't have to actually have your phone or your laptop or something up looking at the data. It actually shows you that here. And this black part on the front is actually a display, and so this also helps you with information. It tells you, I think, what carrier is connected to, as well as the signal strength. So there's some really kind of nice features to the unit itself. And then otherwise, the front side is fairly plain, other than just the shape of it. But it looks pretty good and high quality there. For me, what else they include is just a color little instruction manual here. That's a quick installation guide. We can open this up here and show you. But it kind of goes over, most importantly, where do you place the unit, and kind of the layout, and tells you about the Ethernet cable and how to make sure that that gets weathertight. And then it gives you information as far as how you log into the device. It has a web interface to log in there with some settings. But what I want to do now is actually open up some information on my tablet to share with you here live, to go into details of what this is. And then, of course, I need to get to testing the device and comparing it with performance. Now, I have at my house, I have Verizon home internet, I have T-Mobile home internet, I have AT&T home internet, or AT&T Internet Air they call it. And so I have all those services. I can go out there and I can test. I should be able to confirm and compare how this unit works over time compared to my other solutions. Alright, so here is this overview of it. Now, I did get this link off of the wirelesshaven.com, and I have a link in the video description below with a special code. That's a referral code that lets them know that you did come to them from my channel. So that also helps support the channel, and it also makes sure that you go to the correct place to buy this unit. One of the things with Elsis that I will admit on is you probably don't recognize the name. And that's because it's really not that well known in the US. They're growing in. It's a Brazilian company. The product's really good. They design all the stuff themselves, actually. And if we were to break this open, tear it apart, you'll see actually on all the circuits and whatnot, they are Elsis labeled and Elsis designed. So it's not a white label service where it's someone else's product. And so what they're doing is they're working with the Wireless Haven, which is a small business that's based out of Tennessee. Richard's the owner. Very involved guy, very knowledgeable about this type of technology. I love working with these types of folks. They're more passionate than I am about the 5G home internet stuff, and they know a lot of the details. So he is really helping to make sure that the customers that buy this actually get the support they need, live support, on-demand support, a phone number and an email to a person that you can get that's in the U.S. to help support that. So that's my ramble about the company that is really providing a lot of services for it. They have links to this on their website, so you can get those down below as well, so you can look through them yourself. Now, this is kind of a marketing thing, so I'm going to kind of scroll through this. If you're watching this video, you probably know that 5G is great. 4G Plus, you might not know about it. That's LTE-A or LTE Advanced. Our carriers do have that in the U.S., and they are using that. And so basically this is just saying, hey, it can connect to all this. 5G is obviously faster. You can see right here the little LED screen there. You can see it says 5G there. It tells you what it's connected to. It's showing you all the different applications. This can obviously be for really fast data transfers in the city. It can be for critical systems, for backup, long-range internet. I think a lot of our customers are kind of more the suburbanites, and they're trying to get a good service either because they don't have other options like cable or fiber, or they're getting bent over from those companies with the pricing. So that's kind of my case, is I don't actually have a lot of other options, and if I want to get cable, I have to pay $18,000 is the last quote they gave me to actually get cable from the street to my house. So yeah, I said no thanks. So anyways, if we go into here, what they actually go into for details here on how it works. This is obviously a very simplified graphic where it shows you that you would have the Amplimax Ultra outside, and then you'd have the Ethernet cable come inside, and it goes to that little PoE injector there on that that rendered table. And then from that injector, you either go directly to a computer, or as I mentioned before, your own router that would send Wi-Fi. So that something like this made-up TV would be connected to via Wi-Fi. Then when we look at this overview here, what they claim here is 8 times more range compared to an indoor modem. So I don't know exactly the backing of that, but it certainly makes sense that from my testing, having a device indoors versus outdoors can make a large difference. And so their claim is 8 times more range. In there, you can see it uses the Qualcomm SDX62 chip, which is a very popular and common 5G chip. It's a great chip, does carrier aggregation. We'll get into that here in a second. They talk about the 4x4 antenna, and then it covers the critical frequencies of 600 to 4,000 megahertz. So that's going to cover all your popular 4G and 5G sub-6 bands. So the only main one in the US this really doesn't do is a millimeter wave stuff. But that's fairly common, and that they don't cover that, and also it's very rare that your house would actually get millimeter wave. Okay, and then what else here? They show that the 5G, it does support up to 2.5 gigabits. Now that's theoretical. My uncle actually does get close to a gig of speed on T-Mobile 5G, and the port there is 2.5, so it does support faster than 1 gig, which is actually important and will be important going in the future. And even 4G with proper carrier aggregation. Now you might look at this and say there's no way you get 1.6. That is theoretical, and depending on your tower, you might be able to get much faster speed than someone else on another tower. So that's something just to know, is that not every person is going to see the same capabilities from their tower, but know that this one can basically max out what any of the best towers can provide. Okay, what else here? Carrier aggregation. So this is what I was talking about. This is how most of the carriers right now are actually improving their speed. It's not by developing 6G, because no one has 6G out there, and even 5G, they're kind of struggling to get it fully out there, including the 5G SA core part. But what they are doing actively is adding more bandwidth to their existing channels, and then also adding more carrier aggregation, where you can grab more channels of the same signal basically, and add that up so you get faster speed. So in this case, they're showing 5 signals coming in at 150 megabits per second, and then the user getting 750 megabits per second of speed. So that's the concept and the theory of how it works. All right, and then here it just shows that Snapdragon X62 that we talked about before. And again, that's a very well-proven, well-known chipset there with the 520N module. So again, this is another very popular unit. It is not the latest and greatest, absolute best, but it's a very good one. And if it's integrated correctly with the right antenna array and software, it can perform very, very well. So here we show the 2 SIM cards, and it does have the capability to do eSIM, but the best way is probably with the SIM card. We can get into more of those details in the future. But this is where it has some cool stuff here with the little smart display, where it has an easy install with a blind search. So that's one of the coolest things I liked about the old 4G one was, same one on this one, do not put a SIM card in, hook it up, power it up, and it'll do what he calls a blind search. So it's going to search and find the best signal that's out there, whether it's AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile. It'll give you a report out and show you just what signals you have and which ones are best. So if you're trying to figure out, hey, which carrier should I go with, you can literally put this in there and it will tell you, hey, looks like you need to get AT&T, and then you can go buy that SIM card or that service and put that in and run with it. So here, if we go through the band coverage, what you'll see is 5G SA means 5G standalone. So that is a newer one that's kind of rolling out in phases, but that's not the most common. And then 5G NSA, which is non-standalone, that is, most places, if you're on a coverage map and you have 5G, then that's 5G NSA for most people. What's important here is that you see that N41 and N25 are the T-Mobile and the old Sprint ones that are very important for T-Mobile users. N71 is their 5G extended, which is not as fast, but it is still a very good one, and it goes long distances. And then N77 is really the best one from a Verizon standpoint and AT&T on their 5G side. But then on the 4G side, all the other popular ones between B2, B4, B12, B66, B71, those are also very popular bands that people connect to. So it can do all of them basically. Now, next one is the antenna itself. Now, this one has all kind of caveats to it we got to figure out here. But if I were to compare this antenna based off these numbers to, like, say, a Waveform Quad Pro, this one here, it's also a little bit confusing. I'm not really used to actually seeing the main antenna and secondary antenna. So these are two pairs of 2x2s. And I don't know actually how they combine them up or whatnot. But on this one, if we look at that main antenna, it says 7 dBi. If I go back to Waveform and look at them, I guess we'll pull out one more number. So the 600 to 960, 7 dBi on this one. And then the 1700 to 1900, it says, I think that means that they meant to do 7.9, so almost 8 dB. So if we go over here to Waveform, this is now the Waveform Quad Pro data. And if I look at that one here, for the 600 to 900, it's 5.5 dBi plus minus 0.6. So let's call it 6 dBi max there. So that's lower, slightly lower than the Elsys. And then if we go to the next one up here, this is 1700 to 2700, so a bigger range, but it says 7.7. So, you know, that one's maybe 8, a little over 8. So that one looks like about a tie for that range. And looks like the Amplimax has a little bit of a lead for the 600 to 900. Now, if we go to the next range here, which is the 3500 to 4200 here, that is 6.8, or we'll call it 7 dB. Okay, so we're back here, this Amplimax one, you can see that 3300 to 4200, that's 9 dBi. So again, the Amplimax is a little bit higher gain there. And then I guess I should mention here that now you can look at the 1900 to 2700, and before we were talking about being about 8. It looks like, again, the Amplimax maybe has a head here. Now, there are a lot more things that go into antenna than just this dBi, and to be honest with you, I don't fully know how to compare these numbers when you add the secondary antenna in the mix of exactly how that works. But I will also say that in addition to the gain, you have like the efficiency of the antennas, you have you know, the quality of the antenna itself, and then you have the benefit of this unit. All of that antenna gain, since it's directly connected to the modem, since the modem is inside this unit as well, you don't have nearly the cable loss because you're not running antenna cable, you're running an Ethernet cable that doesn't have that loss over feed. So it looks like to me, if I were to have to guess, and I haven't tested yet, that this should actually get more antenna gain, more signal to the modem than a similar setup with a 5G modem inside the house and a antenna outside with cabling in there. So we'll test that to find out exactly here. Okay, then here, this is just the box I already showed. It just confirms it looks like though it's a 4.5 foot Ethernet for the shorter one. You can see there in the top right, there is they do sell an optional indoor router, Wi-Fi router, but you can use your own. I don't have their indoor unit. I don't plan to use it either. And then as far as sizes go, here's just the product dimensions if you need to you know, package protect for that for some reason. And then here they're just they're doing their own quick comparison of the best technology there between fiber and satellite and 4G and 5G in there. All right, and then here is one more data sheet that I want to go into a little bit more of the details here. And again, this one I got from the Wireless Haven site. All right, so this just gives you the description. I guess one thing I haven't called out is it can do the auto APN. So this means it can, for most cards or carriers, it can auto pick the APN needed. If not, you can also set that. Here it talks about the 2 SIM cards, and it is the nano size SIM card if that matters to you, as well as the 1 internal eSIM. I talked about the blind search that it can do, and this is a little close-up look of what was underneath the silicone flap where it has the SIM card slots. It tells you if it's using an eSIM there with a light. It has the USB, and then it also has the light that tells you if it's using 4G or 5G, as well as the easy install button, which actually has a couple different functions. And then it shows you that smart display that is in action. We've already seen all of these channels, and we've already seen these data rates that they tell you are the theoretical best. Okay, for those interested in the power supply unit, it is using the PoE standard there of the AF or /AT. So if you know anything about those standards, that's what it's using. So it's using a 24 volt DC adapter, but I think it only needs to receive 12. So the longer Ethernet cable you have, you'll have a voltage drop. So long as I think you're getting 12 to the unit, it'll be happy and stay powered on and work as expected. They show that it takes up to 18 watts of power consumption, but typically it's running at like 3 watts for average. Temperatures rated at -22 to 140. Okay, so it does look, it actually has perhaps an internal Wi-Fi so that you can configure the product. I have seen that on a few others where it's not one you connect to for data, but just to access it and configure it. It looks like it has it. I didn't actually know that until now. All right, so that's everything about the unit itself. Now, obviously, what we want to see is how well it performs. If you have a specific test you want me to run with this unit or something to try out, please do put a comment down below, and I will look at that, and I'll try to see if I can capture it. What my plan is to do here is to put in at least a few different SIM cards or test out there. I'm going to install this outside on my TV antenna mast, and I want to test out the performance of it to see how it compares. And now, of course, I am also going to start to mess with some of the settings on this device that very many of you guys are interested in. How do I do some of this advanced stuff? So I get into that as well. So stay tuned for those videos. They will be coming out in the coming days or coming couple weeks here. So thanks for watching. Tag along. Make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks.